And there it is, up on the cube.
On your mark. Stand up. Top line, you can't bounce. That's good. On your mark.
And here we go, the boys distance medley relay, opening things up with a 1,200 meter leg. Then they'll hand it off to the 400 meter leg. Third is 800 meters, and closing it out with a 1,600 meter anchor. Coming through the 200, Monroe Woodbury in the lead, 29:12 for their opening lap. Behind them, Brooklyn Tech, 29:43. Separating from the rest of the group early on, and leading that chase pack was Greenwich, Connecticut, but now taken over by Tatnall. Monroe Woodbury still with the upper hand up top, coming through 400 in 1:47. Brooklyn Tech 1:72. And trying to bridge that gap in third, Tatnall, 1:01.68 through 400 meters, 3 laps to go. And coming up on 2 laps to go, moving into the lead, Brooklyn Tech, putting Monroe Woodbury in second. Coming through 800 meters in 2:05.78. Tatnall getting closer and closer to that second spot. Meanwhile, Brooklyn Tech pulling away in first as they come up on 1 lap to go on this first leg. And just like that, Tatnall pushes into second. Now bridging that gap between them and Brooklyn Tech. Coming up on the handoff. And it's Brooklyn Tech with the first handoff to their 400 leg, followed by Tatnall in second. That opening leg running 3:09.39 through 1,200 meters. And Monroe Woodbury putting themselves back into the mix, passing Tatnall for second. That first lap for Brooklyn Tech's 400 leg, 23:49. Monroe Woodbury, 23:16. What a catch-up for Monroe Woodbury right behind Brooklyn Tech. Tatnall fading away in this 400, now has some ground to make up in this 800-meter leg. But Brooklyn Tech and Monroe Woodbury are going 1-2. Monroe Woodbury springing back into the lead. They're running a fantastic 400 leg, 50.04 to rebound into that first position. Coming up on 2 laps to go for the 800-meter leg, Monroe Woodbury now establishing a solid lead up top, detaching themselves from Brooklyn Tech. Came through the 400 mark in 104. Brooklyn Tech came through at about 50. Sorry, not 104. .54 through 400. 57 through 400 for Brooklyn Tech. 1 lap to go on their 800-meter legs. Meanwhile, in the back, Greenwich, Connecticut passes Tatnall for third. But as Monroe Woodbury approaches their anchor leg, he'll be setting him up well with a strong, solid lead up front. About 50 meters ahead of second place now. 1:58.64 for that 800 leg for Monroe Woodbury. Brooklyn Tech with some ground to make up in this anchor leg. 2:05.37. For their 800. That's 7 seconds behind the leader. And now Connecticut in third. Keep in mind that the U.S. #1 current high school boys DMR time is 10:28.02. Let's see if Monroe Woodbury has a good chance of breaking that. He'll have to run a 4:28 or faster on the anchor to move into U.S. #1. Coming up on the halfway point for this anchor leg. Through in about 2:07 through the 800 mark. 4 laps to go. Now just 2 laps remain for this anchor leg of Monroe Woodbury. And here's the bell lap, Monroe Woodbury, 10:52, 10:49 through 3,800. Well on pace to Monroe Woodbury down the final stretch. 10:20. 10:20.91, new U.S. number 1. That anchor leg running 4:20.65 to solidify themselves in that current spot, top of the country. Brooklyn Tech taking second in 10:36.65, but here's a recap of that race. It's first Brooklyn Tech in the lead, but he passes at the 400. And from there, it's smooth sailing for Monroe Woodbury to take it in 10:20.91, new U.S. number 1 right here at the Armory. There are your final standings up on the cube. Taking second, Brooklyn Tech, 10:36.65. Greenwich, Connecticut in third, 10:41.49. Take a look at our invitational rollout, starting out with our opening ceremonies, honoring all of our wonderful officials here at the Armory. And there's that U.S. There's the win in the boys' mile. The HBCU Showcase, sponsored by KPMG, is next weekend right here at the Armory. Join us on January 18th as we welcome the top athletes from over 20 historically black colleges and universities from around the country. The meet will also be streamed live on Peacock from 3 p.m. to 5:30, so don't miss out on all the action. The HBCU Showcase is sponsored by KPMG. See you there.